fucking dodging, you gotta look both ways before you cross the street. Everybody's taking shots at us, Caitlin Clark fans, the Chicago Sky vloggers, the content creators, the Angel Reese content creators are firing at us nonstop. We got to keep our head on a swivel, y'all. We got to keep our head on a swivel. Stephanie White's a bum and needs to be fired. That's what's going on. Did y'all see the interviews today? Sophie Cunningham just exposed Stephanie White. Flat out exposed.
A narrative surprise from a reality show that no one signed up for was just pulled off by Sophie Cunningham. She did more than simply stand up for Caitlin Clark. With receipts, sass, and an expression that said, "I said what I said," she body-slammed Stephanie White's whole coaching credibility. What set off this fierce takedown? Why is everyone in the WNBA behaving as like it's a disastrous collective project? This tea is hotter than the Fever's bench rotation, so stay put.
Stephanie White, in her post-game interview, confirms the team looks the best when the ball is in Caitlin's hands, when she is the main decision maker, and everything revolves around her. Yet for some strange reason, in the Valkyries game yesterday, after witnessing that in real time, Stephanie White decides to change things up, slow the things down, take Caitlin out the game, and she complains that the team suddenly loses.
There is nothing to do with a 5-player setup when supporters swarm the stadium wearing mismatched merchandise and chanting like it's a cult revival gathering. The Caitlin system is what it is. The system is Caitlin. At the end of the day, no one is purchasing tickets to see backdoor cuts and screen assists, so you could toss 5 traffic cones and Fever jerseys next to her and it would still sell out. Without a doubt, they will purchase Caitlin.
Basically say what I've been saying and everyone else. Give the damn ball to Caitlin. Whatever offense we running right now, it is not working. You have to give the ball to Caitlin and let Caitlin do what Caitlin has to do. Now, we done seen this formation time and time again. Now, I know some people might want to say Caitlin Clark was off the ball somewhere at Iowa. She was a little bit in years past.
When the ecosystem is centered on a single gravitational force, this isn't a team sport. She is the director, the main performer, and the person who shreds the ticket at the entrance at this basketball theater. Sophie Cunningham enters this magnificent turmoil. A human microphone, a basketball player, and a full-time truth teller. Thank God the lady doesn't have a mute button.
Rough time being an Indiana Fever fan right now. Things is getting real crucial. It's real serious. We're almost 20 games into the season and we are below 500. This is embarrassing. I would have, at the beginning of the season, I would have bet you my last breath. I would have bet my life, my house, everything that there was a 0% chance that we would be under 500 19 games into the season. This is crazy.
Sophie is not here to act as a diplomat. She is not submitting an application to work at the league headquarters. Furthermore, she isn't sugarcoating anything to appease the positive vibes-only audience. With the accuracy of a miniature buzzsaw and HD clarity, she says what has to be said. She speaks the truth as if it owes her money, which makes others uneasy around her. When you ask Sophie a question, you receive a fireworks display and a TED presentation instead of a soundbite.
To watch a 19-point loss, Caitlin Clark's return, in which, since this is a lady we're talking about, it looks like Stephanie White has spaded Caitlin Clark, for lack of a better way of putting it. If it was a dude, I'd say neutered, but, you get my point. She has taken away Caitlin Clark's greatest asset, which is the creator and instigator of all.
In today's world of media-trained athletes muttering platitudes, she has the unique attribute of truly believing what she says while speaking out loud in public. This is like flying without a parachute, but with all the confidence. Naturally, when she offered her 2 cents, more like $200, 0 cents, about which towns ought to get WNBA expansion franchises, some sensitive people had their emotions upset. Take a gasp, a player who speaks in front of microphones about the league. How could she interfere with the echo chamber of pre-planned talking points and bland interviews? She wasn't engaging in league politics. She threw the board, rolled the dice, and informed everyone that the pieces had been rigged from the beginning. That's the charm, however. Sophie is not vying for the title of Miss Congeniality. It's not public relations. She sees what every basketball IQ above sea level sees, which is why everyone else is fumbling with the user manual, while Caitlin is the system. Caitlin shouldn't be acting as if she's being punished for creating the three-point line. Watching referees attempt to explain a technical infraction without going into interpretive dance is the only thing more uncomfortable than her present use.
In the post-practice interviews, had this to say.
I think that everyone saw that. We kind of got some flow when Kate was hurt and our offense was clicking. But now we have to have a new offense when she's in there because she just brings that much to the game, and so we have to adjust. And I think all of us just want it now. We know
we had some flow, but when Caitlin's here, we need to play a different style because she's that great. That is what Sophie Cunningham just.
There is a deliberate attempt to incorporate her as if her existence is a minor annoyance that requires bureaucratic permission rather than constructing the offense around the generational phenomena. She doesn't play a supporting role. She is not a project to be developed. Before the gym lights go down, she is the main event, the blueprint, and the spectacular conclusion. Sophie is too busy to learn coded language. Legacy coaching hierarchies that act like it's 1997 irritate her. Not because she is impolite or disrespectful, but rather because she is unfiltered in a league that still adores its filters. She exclaims, "Nope, not on my watch," when she witnesses a star being intentionally darkened. In group discussions, she will speak out what everyone whispers. She will challenge choices that others justify as strategic. She will criticize mediocre coaching changes that resemble confused yoga postures rather than basketball moves.
But when Caitlin Clark has become the Caitlin Clark we loved and we've grown to see, Caitlin Clark has the ball in her damn hands, bro. Caitlin Clark has the ball in her hands, and she said verbatim herself that they run a read and react offense. You know what that is? The ball's in Caitlin's hands. Now, there has been a large speculation that Caitlin Clark pretty much wants to go to New York and play with Sandy Barnadello.
The true issue lies behind all the catchphrases and strategies. The Fever decided to utilize the Ferrari they had the keys to on a shopping run. Like Wi-Fi in a jungle, Caitlin's brilliance is being squandered. A once-in-a-generation talent is not drafted to stand in the corner as someone else attempts a post-up that results in a missed layup and a collective sigh from the audience. You gave her permission to cook. You move aside, give the spatula to someone else, and watch as the brilliance takes over. However, Sophie is the contentious one for speaking out about this. Not the coaches. Not the offensive plan that seems to have been jotted out on a napkin in the middle of chaos. Not the decision-makers who continue to see professional shooters as mere role players. No, it's Sophie who makes audacious claims and refuses to act as if the Emperor's garments are genuine. She just expressed a preference, and all of a sudden, half of the audience demanded an apology, as if she had disparaged their grandmother's meal. It's not Hunger Games, it's growth.
I don't care about the rest of what she has to say. It's going to sound good, I'm sure. It's going to be her refusing to take accountability, I'm sure. It's going to be her putting the onus on the players, I'm sure. Not owning up to her, I'm sure. But what she said right there, other than 2 5-minute spurts, the team lost focus, didn't pay attention to detail, so on and so forth. That is her not realizing that she's accountable for what
Sophie knows that this league only succeeds when the product is unquestionably excellent, something that many people are unwilling to acknowledge. Additionally, the product is now sold when Caitlin touches the ball rather than when she vanishes for 10-minute periods as if the coaching staff has grounded her. Perhaps, just perhaps, the offense should include her more than the bench rotation involves folding chairs if fans are purchasing jerseys and packed stadiums for a single player. The Fever's antiquated sets, which mix up motion and progress, drew no viewers. Nobody is watching offensive possessions that have no conclusion and resemble group therapy sessions. Fireworks, deep threes, and the type of self-assurance that even opposition fans applaud are what they're looking for. Because sometimes a microphone and a little attitude are necessary to tell the truth. Sophie Cunningham enters the picture with a remark, "Players on their own islands, just when things couldn't get any hotter." This isn't a professional basketball squad, this is a tropical vacation. The WNBA abruptly becomes Survivor Indiana Fever Edition, where everyone is too preoccupied with paddling alone to see the boat is sinking, trust is a fiction, and chemistry is legendary.
I never thought that I would be saying this late last year in November when the Indiana Fever hired Stephanie White. I never thought I'd be saying this right now, only 19 games into the 2025 season, that it's time for Stephanie White to go. The Indiana Fever needs to fire Stephanie White. This is not going to work. What we're seeing is not going to work. It's just not going to work.
Because sometimes a microphone and a little attitude are necessary to tell the truth. And just as things were getting hotter, Sophie Cunningham made that remark. Participants on separate islands. For example, this is not a professional basketball team but rather a tropical vacation. The WNBA abruptly becomes Survivor Indiana Fever Edition, where everyone is too preoccupied with paddling alone to see the boat is sinking, chemistry is legendary, and trust is a fiction. Here's Sophie grabbing the megaphone to draw attention to something that anybody with 2 eyes and even a half basketball brain would find glaringly evident. The group isn't only fragmented, they have an aggressive allergy to unity. No one wants to open the Google Doc for this lengthy group project. As she stood there, Sophie said, "Hey, maybe we should, work together." However, the decision-makers chose to continue spinning the wheel in the hopes that something would finally click rather than addressing the dysfunction. Like a time-limited coupon, chemistry will arise out of nowhere. The head coach is still scribbling on a whiteboard 2/3 of the way through the season, as if she's trapped in her own maze. At Game 20, we're still figuring things out. That isn't a strategy, that's headband malpractice. Consider approaching offensive rhythm like a treasure hunt with Caitlin Clark on your roster. The plays resemble unplanned street performance art rather than planned activity.
How she looks, but man, it's tough. It's tough to get that growing to 100%. But I like the mindset, thinking about her long term, right? Long term, and that's what matters the most. I know we are trying to push the Indiana Fever to win a championship right now this year. I know a lot of fans would love to see it, but at the end of the day, man, if Caitlin Clark has to sit out for the rest of the year, would y'all be able to accept that? Would that be something you can live with? You know what I'm saying? Not saying she has to or anything like that. I'm just saying if that came about.
Sophie, on the other hand, is just calling it what she sees because she is tired of being fake and avoiding the obvious. It's not a vibe problem if gamers are feeling disengaged, let's face it. It's a leadership issue that has been slowly cooking from the beginning. That comparison to an island wasn't only a casual comment. It was a complete diagnosis. There are rotations that resemble someone playing Sudoku mid-aim, scorers not receiving touches, and defenders not receiving guidance. A system does not exist. No accountability exists. There's only a locker room full of courteous shrugs and a head coach with a foggy playbook. The national anthem is not as loud as the disconnect. The only person with the courage to harmonize with it is Sophie. The worst part is that people continue to appear shocked by what she's saying. A roulette wheel with a whistle on. It's not that the group lacks skill, they have an abundance. However, without direction, talent is only shoes and chaos. Chemistry cannot be created by chance. When no one is permitted to develop trust, you cannot expect synergy. Furthermore, you can't continue to rearrange lineups like a DJ attempting to revive a failing dance floor.
Videos about Stephanie White, because we need to be honest here, Stephanie White's not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to change. Stephanie White is not going to stop until her style of drag everyone down to their level basketball prevails. She's not going to change. And I don't think I do not think that we're going to see very much of Stephanie White, or very much of the Fever playing good basketball under
Sophie's voice, therefore, slices through the clutter like a chainsaw at a poetry reading. She's not making ideas in whispers. She is giving assessments. Indeed, it hurts, but the truth typically does. Particularly when it's obscured by layers of media jargon, deflection, and post-game interviews that are so ambiguous you believe they were created by AI in an attempt to avoid legal action. What is the reaction of those on the sidelines? As if the process hadn't been a gradual plunge into mid-season purgatory, there is more uncertainty and faith in the process energy. It's similar to seeing someone assemble IKEA furniture without reading the instructions and then accusing the screws of lacking sufficient chemistry with the timber panels. Fans, however, are seeing Sophie as the only rational character in a horror film full of poor choices. Everyone else is still saying, no, let's split up and investigate separately, as she gestures to the haunted basement after seeing the spirits.